the question really is why we don't need managers in some case scenarios. So this kind of brings me back to Netflix. Actually, Netflix recently changed this around. I believe in 2022, ultimately they had this single layer way of thinking. So they only had seniors all through their organization. So ultimately, the senior engineers didn't have management. They just, boom, hey, here's the work. We need to get this done. Here's the results that we're trying to get and the reason why. And they build out that feature and they build out that work. So I heard a lot about this. I was like, really? There's no managers at Netflix? My first thought, wow, it's been a long time not having managers. What if that senior person is not working there anymore? And that feature is not getting support and maintained on. Because ultimately as engineers, you build out something, you design something out, you build it out, you test it, and you maintain that system. So the person who built out this major part of the functionality on Netflix, they're not there anymore for some reason. What would happen? Because he's the senior POC on this particular feature and he's not there to help and fix it. So what happens in those cases? So this is why I think back in 2022, they started to change how the organization is going to be structured. And this is the article right here, the scoop, Netflix historic introduction of levels for software engineers. So like I said, for the longest, they didn't have management for these engineers because all of them ultimately were senior engineers. So they're at the top of the top. They didn't really need guidance. They know what they needed to get done. They know what the objectives are. They know what the deliverables are. And ultimately, they're producing those results. And that's what the fundamental reasons why I think that's why they went that route. I'd rather pay someone who's really versed in this particular area where I don't have to pay multiple people to maintain something. But this is the double-edged sword of that. So like I said earlier, I mentioned kind of like preface it, what happens when that senior engineer is not there anymore on that feature? Who's going to maintain that system? That's where I think Netflix is introducing these levels of engineers. You got engineer 1, 2, senior, staff, and principal. Principal being the highest, of course. So now you can bring up that junior engineer, junior developer up to principal, and they like the sense of moving up this ladder. So they feel a sense of achievements, they feel a sense of belongingness and being promoted up the ladder and so on. But not only that, they have someone there ultimately to fulfill that role of the feature that is getting built. And I think that's really coming from a risk management standpoint on the company's part. Yeah, you can have a senior engineer, you can just put in another senior engineer who can just pick up the technology really fast, but that takes time, that takes ramping up even for a senior engineer, I believe. And yeah, you have that sense of now you have someone you bringing up and now they have a sense of the culture, they have a sense of the processes and sense of the whole entire feature in the code base. And you don't have to really continue to bring in the senior engineer. They can be moved on to different areas in the projects. And that's pretty much my spill on that. Ultimately, my opinion is, I believe these trades are definitely needed. Ultimately, I want to be a manager. I want to see what that entails. And I'm glad I was able to research and dove into this topic a little bit more because I had these questions for a very long time. I was wondering, I feel sometimes a sense like with management, especially management in the past, they didn't get a sense of communicating that well. They didn't get a sense of powering the team or advocating for the employees, or at least for me or for other people I've seen as well, and as they spoke to it. So I really want to really understand all of those things. I'm glad I was able to do that now. So you put in your comments and what you guys think, what's the circumstances? I definitely believe there are some circumstances where you do need managers, but there's some circumstances you don't. When to realize those circumstances when they don't or aren't needed. So I'll see you in the next one. Peace.